This is the Spider-Man. Don't catch you tripping though. Don't check it, but I don't know the whole song. Whatever. Welcome to StillerBros at the Movies, everyone. We are back again. This time and we are here for our third iteration of Spider-Man in the last 5 years. Yeah, who would have thought this we'd be like that? But don't worry, it's not another reboot. Tom Holland is sticking around. Hopefully. We'll see. Just as long as he keeps his mouth zipped about spoilers. Anyway, today we are going to see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This movie's been was announced part of the Sony hack back in 2014. And essentially, since then, we've gotten announcements left and right. But I think most prominently is the fact that this is the first cinematic appearance of Mr. Miles Morales, known to many as Black Spider-Man, who the reason I picked that song was not because he's black, but because the inspiration for him was Donald Glover. Yes. In many ways. Back in 2011, when they were talking about rebooting Spider-Man after Sam Raimi's series went kaput, Donald Glover was one of the top actors that was demanded by fans to be Spider-Man, and he does a whole bit on this in his stand-up comedy special, Weirdo. It's on Netflix, check it out, it's still funny. But ultimately, it came down when it came around to when they were killing Peter Parker off in the comics. They decided, hey, how about we make Spider-Man a black kid this time? And so they created Miles Morales, a biracial Spider-Man partially based in looks on Donald Glover and then President Barack Obama. Please come back, Barack. But now he is not the only Spider person we have taken the center stage this time around. Yes, we have also Spider Noir, as voiced by Nicolas Cage, which, thank God, he's starting to get some more actual work again, and he cannot do like 6 direct-to-video movies a year anymore, or at a certain point. We also have, for taking her big screen debut, Spider-Gwen, played by Haley Steinfeld. I said right around the time that Venom was coming out that they really should never have made a Venom movie, and instead they should have just made a Spider-Gwen movie. That way they could go back to basics without having to answer all the questions of why make it in the first place, because it's like different characters, alternate timeline. Why is this guy playing Peter Parker and not Tom Holland? Alternate timeline. Why are you doing the origin again? Different characters. All that stuff. Yeah. So to have Spider-Gwen not only getting to be in this movie, but they have also announced that she is getting her own female-centric spin-off of this movie. This movie's done so well already with critics and test audiences that Spider-Gwen they've already announced sequels and spin-offs to this. So all this while today they announced that Venom 2 is definitely happening, to which I say, we also have Kimiko Glenn taking on the role of Penny Parker, aka Spider. And of course, the greatest role ever taken by a comedic actor ever in one of the greatest appearances. You know the name. Peter Porker, Spider-Ham. Played by the very funny John Mulaney. Oh, and also Jake Johnson's in this. We've never seen New Girl. Jake Johnson's in this. We've never really seen anything he's ever been in. So this is new. Yeah. Anyway, but this is also crammed to the gills with other cameo appearances because it's a Spider-Man movie. So we get cameos by we get such appearances as Liev Schreiber as the Kingpin, Roma Tacone as the Green Goblin, and Lily Tomlin as Aunt May, and those are the only ones that I feel that I am allowed to spoil for everyone. Yeah, but of course we have to bring up who is playing Miles, which is relative newcomer Shameik Moore, he's best known for a movie that came out a few years ago called Dope. Our boss told me to check it out. I never got around to it. It's just one of those things that it just is very hard to get around, that we just don't get to, and it's just not that look, we're not against the movie. It's just we just never got around to seeing certain stuff. Not even when the guy who directed it was up for the role of directing the Flash movie did we ever think to actually watch the movie. Yeah. So I think we may get around to it eventually, but for right now, this is going to be our introduction to Shameik Moore. Yep. And we also have Mahershala Ali, who is kind of making his run for an Oscar this year with Green Book.
Again.
Yep, again.
It's a second Oscar. His run for a second Oscar. Mahershala Ali has been one of those guys he's kind of blowing up at this point because he's in Green Book, he was in Moonlight, he's in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, if the guy's he's kind of on a big upswing at this point.
But since they really haven't shown anything from him in the advertisement, we don't know how much of him we're going to get in the movie.
But the filmmakers behind this are of note because the screenwriters and producers are Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
The guys behind the Lego movies and Caught with a Chance of Meatballs and 22 and 21 Jump Street
and like maybe 20% of the finished product of Solo.
Yeah.
We don't know, but still, Lord and Miller have been continued to be on a hot streak.
And they also had some additional story material in from Alex Hirsch, who created one of the greatest shows of all time, Gravity Falls.
We don't know how much of his stuff actually made it into the movie, but we heard a long time ago that he was involved in the project. We'll probably see his name in the credits his name will probably be in the credits under additional story material. It might not be. We don't know how much we don't know how much of his stuff is in there.
But we got some great pedigrees from actors, writers. These are some new the directors here are a bunch of newbies, but
the second we saw the first trailer and everything in motion, we saw that it seemed like it was good stuff because
it was such a different animation.
It's very comic booky. It's like they adapted straight from the characters straight from the comic books, and judging by the scenes that have been released so far, it looks like that was very much intentional because there are scenes where they literally pull out the comic books and show you stuff.
Yeah, so we're gonna see. So I think we got enough to say right now until we actually see the movie.
But let's see you guys after the show.
Yep, bye. Okay, guys. So first of all, we got to talk about one thing, and that's Stanley and Steve Ditko.
Both of them, unfortunately, left us this year, and the world is kind of a poor place for it.
But in this particular film is the greatest Stanley cameo ever.
His favorite was always Deadpool, but I think this is going to go down as the greatest of them all, just simply because it kind of ended up being exactly what the fans needed.
It came out at the perfect time. It just happened perfectly. It was a great cameo, and it was almost a great way to say goodbye, even though we're going to be seeing him again in 3 other movies next year. But
I think the biggest part of it was that it already basically is coming at a point where half the audience is probably crying in the first place, so a few more tears won't hurt.
So,
on that note, this movie was amazing!
Oh my god, I love this so much!
I mean, everything about this movie just rocked and was awesome.
As a fan of animation, it was just the most amazing thing in my eyes. I just couldn't. It was like it is visual animation pornography, where every second is just a complete. You just want to take everything in at once.
And it's amazing. My favorite thing about this is that some of the Spider people are animated in different styles, but they integrated them perfectly. Like there's anime, like there's Penny Parker who's done an anime style, and then there's Spider-Ham who's animated in kind of like the old Max Fleischer or Chuck Jones style stuff, where he's basically actually what most people would think of when they think of cartoon characters.
And Spider Noir, who's like in a gumshoe comic strip kind of style.
Everything fits, and these characters are incredibly, and the detail is incredible, and at points in the exact right lighting and coloring and everything like that, you can still see the little dots because the animation style is built on the idea that we are watching a comic book come to life. It's amazing.
So, let's get a little more detailed. Shameik Moore as Miles Morales was incredible.
He gives a 110% to this performance. You totally feel like this is a kid who's way over his head.
And he has great chemistry with Jake Johnson's Peter Parker, who is just he's a different kind of Peter Parker than we've ever seen.
I mean, we've always seen Peter Parker at the top of his game, or in the case of, when he's at the bottom, he's not. He's still basically Peter Parker. But here we're seeing him basically bottom rung. He has gone through a lot. He's 36 years old. He's been doing this whole thing since he was for 20 years. He's been hit a lot lately in his life, and you kind of get that, but he's still Spider-Man, so he's still floating around quipping. He's still not taking this as seriously as he should be, while still being as serious as he can be.
Haley Steinfeld as Spider-Gwen was great. She is she is so snarky, and she has all of her own quips and all of her own personality traits. She's just a great kind of foil for Miles and for Peter, because
I personally love the fact that her chemistry with Miles transferred over from the comics, because in the comics, the Spider-Verse stuff that's been going on throughout the years since Spider-Verse happened has essentially been her and Miles have been teaming up a lot. So to have their particular chemistry be gotten that right works out.
So Nicolas Cage as Spider Noir is pretty hilarious at times.
I wanted more of him.
Yeah, that's the problem. We got to because we had 6 Spider people.
The focus was so much on
Miles and Peter and Gwen, which is fine, because obviously those 3 are going to be the big ones that we want to focus on.
And obviously Penny Parker and Spider-Ham and Spider Noir are going to be more of the comedic ones, because we got things like Spider Noir, who is just as his name suggests, Spider-Man in a film noir universe, so obviously that's going to lead to some jokes. Spider-Man as a cartoon pig, which is going to lead to some jokes, and Spider-Man as a cute little anime girl, which from
the future with a giant robot that is also she co-pilots with a spider.
Seriously, Disney, if you are not working on an animated TV pilot for her, I swear to God, you are wasting this license.
Yeah.
License and I don't know why, I just love the sound of Kimiko Glenn's voice when she whether it be DuckTales or this, it's just something about her voice just kind of sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And John Mulaney, well, I've never really gone for much of an actor for John Mulaney as an actor, because, well, in his show he wasn't really doing a good job. He's proven he's better now with like his SNL hosting appearance and Oh Really, which I haven't seen, but
Oh Hello, but yeah, and Big Mouth as well. We haven't seen either of those, but they're on Netflix. But
we have no plans on seeing Big Mouth. But his dry wit and everything in between really fits this character in all the right ways. He sounds so good as Spider-Pig, because they might have been going for something along the lines of a Chuck Jones as Bugs Bunny, and I think it didn't occur to me until just hearing him now that John Mulaney is kind of the perfect kind of Bugs Bunny-ish thing.
We have Lily Tomlin as Aunt May. She is very good in this.
I honestly can't believe she hasn't been cast as Aunt May about 6 different times up until this point.
But she worked so well, and this is again, this character is completely different from the Aunt May as we've seen before.
She's not Rosemary Harris. She's not Sally Field. She's definitely not Marissa Tomei.
She has a completely different. She's kind of like a combination. If I were to pick personalities between the existing Aunt Mays, she's kind of a combination of Marissa Tomei and Sally Field, where she'll just like take no shit. But she's also kind of like the fun aunt who probably would have let Peter sneak some beers every now and again.
In fact, if anything, this Aunt May is a bit more like Alfred, where she knows who Peter is and she has this whole knowledge of what to do in these situations. And that's kind of fun.
Liev Schreiber as the Kingpin. That's where it gets a little. That's where this movie gets a little iffy.
I feel like they could have used him. He's the main villain, but I feel like they could have used him more. Or they kind of sneak him, put him to the side for one of the side villains. But I think the thing about this, when it comes down to it, is the focus is on our heroes for the most part. So the villain is kind of an afterthought. I don't know.
All the villains are kind of an afterthought. We get Prowl, like I mentioned earlier, Prowler. We didn't get a lot of him in the advertisements, and there's a kind of a reason why.
Because it kind of treats it like a big reveal for anyone who hasn't like read the Wikipedia page or the actual comics. But Mahershala Ali, he does a really good job on creating the duality for the character.
But at the same time, they really could have cast anybody to play him.
They could have brought Donald Glover back if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But he really works in it because in the end he really did something with this character.
Yeah.
And there are so many others that we can't really talk about because spoilers, and there's things that they have not revealed yet. Like there's cameos from other Spider-Man and characters and other kinds of who are played by incredibly well-known actors.
Yeah.
In fact, one particular cameo that we're not going to spoil because is actually literally the first thing you see and hear.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll recognize who that is right off the bat.
Yeah. But this movie has but the animation is so fantastic and fluid, and it makes this whole movie pop. The colors are bright and amazing. It's just the greatest kind of eye candy.
It's funny. It's so funny. It knows when to move from an emotional scene in one section to a comedic scene in another.
Like even like that Stan Lee scene, that it moves right to a joke. It's just such a beautiful scene that it made us cry immediately, but then it moves right into a joke. So
it knows what it wants.
So you're laughing through the tears at the same time in these heavy moments.
And the music is great because it cues at just the right points. It's epic. It's incredible. I was honestly surprised that it wasn't like Henry Jackman or Michael Giacchino or even Danny Elfman at times, because I was just expecting the credit to say something like that along those lines, but it wasn't any of those guys. I honestly am kind of now I'm honestly a little disappointed with myself that I don't remember the composer's name.
Well, the end credits are kind of a little distracting from a lot of the names, but
speaking of which, stay through all of the credits.
We were the last two people in there.
It's 10 years of Marvel making this the new norm.
And we were the last two in there, and I think the theater worker cleaning it out kind of gave us a look like seriously, guys?
But the fact is, if you just stay for the mid, you're not getting the full experience in this case. Because the mid, while wonderful, is not what they want you to stay for.
Yeah. Hell, this probably was the mid until this was probably the mid into the end credits was probably the mid until some recent events happened, and they pushed it out of the way.
But in the end, this is probably not. It's probably not going to go down in history as the best Spider-Man movie, but it's probably going to be a lot of people's favorites. I don't know if it's my favorite yet. I'm going to have to watch it again to see if I can say it is definitively my favorite, but I loved this movie. I can't wait to see it again. I can't wait to see a million more sequels to this movie. Because there's going to be sequels.
And there's so many
counted on that.
There's so many potentials for sequels.
Especially with the post-credit scene. There's going to be sequels. There's going to be spin-offs. Sony made sure of that. They've locked down writers. I think they've locked down directors for the Spider-Gwen movie. I don't know. I don't remember everything. But the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is everything you could expect for Act. Lord and Miller have not let us down yet.
And this is going to be a contender for Best Animated Feature, and probably more. We will see.
No doubt. So, be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to tune in next time when I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Bye.